Let's get going. I just started recording. You can go ahead and start us off, Haley.
Hey, welcome you guys. So good to see your faces. A lot of you were at convention, some of you weren't. But today we want to just hopefully add value and help kind of just give a little bit of light on what convention meant for each of us, and hopefully you can learn something from that. But also for those that went, we kind of want to share some takeaways and some breakthroughs that you guys had. So to start, I went to convention 2 years ago, so this was actually my third convention. But my first convention, I was super new. I'd only been coaching a couple months. And I really, when I tell people about it, it's kind of a joke because I felt so peer pressured into going. Like, oh my gosh, is there somebody on the, okay, everyone's muted. I kind of felt peer pressured, like Bonnie and Steph were like, you have to come. And I'm like, okay, fine. Anyway, so I went a lot hesitantly, honestly. But I had such huge breakaways at the beginning of that start of my business that it really helped to pave the way. But along the year of coaching, you kind of lose sight of some of that. You lose some momentum, and we have concepts and we have life that takes over. And I feel like convention is just those big rocks in your coaching business that creates such a solid foundation. And it helps through those crazy times to remember who we represent, the company, the mission, the purpose of what we do. And it really just drives that and kind of helps. I don't know, it's almost like that cruise control that you just need in those times of chaos in your business. So what we want to do is we're going to ask some questions. And so we want you guys to just share some of the things that you learned from convention. So this is really just going to be interactive, and we want each of you to be able to say a little bit about what you've learned, but we have it set up with some questions. So it'll get your mind working a little bit on specifically some things that you had takeaways about. So Steph is going to start us off with one of those questions. No, not me.
Hey, Haley, is she still on?
There we go. I, for some reason, couldn't get my, you're just going to see Bonnie. For some reason, my video won't work on Bonnie's feed, but I'm just going to ask you guys a question. How did meeting and hearing from the leadership of Optavia impact your feelings about the company? And I especially want to hear from those of you who this was your first convention. So take yourself off of mute and let us know how actually being there and meeting our leaders impacted how you felt about the company. I see Shane. Does that mean you want to share?
Hey, I'll share.
Perfect.
So it was my first convention, and what I really got out of the whole thing was just how much integrity the company has, and that it's, we're not ducking our heads trying to sell something that we're shysters. You know what I mean? And I mean, I just walked away feeling super proud that I'm going to help people to become better, and that it's all about that. And it's not about, I'm not selling Amway, nothing against anybody that does, but you know what I mean. Absolutely. Sorry, my face is probably super close up to the screen because I'm on my phone.
You're fine. I love that. So just the integrity. Yeah. I mean, just hearing from our leaders, you feel a lot of pride. I think it is different. I felt that when I went to my first convention. I felt a lot of pride. It's really fun to talk about this mission when you meet our leaders because you know who you represent. Somebody else.
I'll go, Steph.
Okay, perfect.
So,
I just was talking to a girl, texting her that's on the program under Brooklyn that lives in St. George. And I actually reached out to her and offered her an opportunity to coach. And she said, well, life is really hectic with me. But I expressed, I said, and you and I have talked about this at conference, but I wish there was a way to put it that would give this program actual enough justice instead of the Walmart or the Target scenario saying I go to Target for one thing, but I come out with a full basket of cool things. And that's really Optavia in a nutshell, but integrity is big. The weight loss is only the beginning. That is the precursor to everything else. And I told her, I said, I utilize these things that I learned through Optavia and through the people that I'm around to not only be a better person, but a better husband, a better father, a better boss. And I use it in my own personal business, even though I want Optavia to be my own business and my only business, I should say. But the thing that we've probably learned more than anything is structure. And structure is key. And honestly, that's where Trisha and I probably lack the most is we're like two BBs in a boxcar. We just run, and we run as hard and fast as we can. We don't know what direction we're going to go, but we just go. And so structure, I think, is something that we need to implement and that we need to utilize our mentors. I think that's the thing is, as new coaches and stuff, I don't think we realize the knowledge and the experience that our mentors have. And if we really want to take it to the next level, we need to utilize those mentors.
Shane, that was awesome. I agree. I feel like you learn a lot about structure when you go to convention because you see the people who've been doing this business for 10 and 12 years, and you really think there's a system here. And I need to follow the system. I love that. And I also love the analogy of, I think so many of us, we discover the food and the eating plan, and we feel like this is amazing. This really works. But what we realize is that so many of the things that we've learned, oh, sorry, I got somebody got a mute here. What happened? There we go. So many of the things that we learn are totally beside the weight loss. We learn how to think. We learn how to manage our thoughts, and then we learn how to manage our life. And I think that comes straight down from Dr. A. So I love that we go in for one thing and we come out with a whole basket or a whole cart. I love like the Costco analogy or the Target analogy. You go in for one thing, you come out with a whole cart. That's what I got to. Anybody else want to share about leadership? Let's see, let's do one more answer and then we'll move to our next question.
Hi guys, so I'll say something just briefly. You'll have to pardon me because I'm doing my other job. But first off, it was so nice meeting all of you that were there. And for sure, I think I figured out that I was just not really, I was aware of the trilogy, but it didn't really all make sense. And very much I have, with my clients over the last 9 months, have kind of pushed the weight loss side of it, but seeing that it's mind, body, finances, which I knew, but it just didn't all register. So it was just eye-opening, and I'm excited. I think it's going to be a pretty cool year. Looking forward, and then you guys can come join me in Atlanta.
Hey, thanks. It was so fun to meet you, Emily. And I love that too. You come home realizing this is the trilogy, right? That is very, very cool. And you definitely come home with that feeling when you go to National Convention. Okay, let's move on to Jenny's going to ask our next question, and this is a fun one.
Okay, so yeah, this is kind of a fun question because we all have that moment when we're sitting there listening and all of a sudden our mentor coach pops in our mind and you're thinking to yourself, I bet my mentor coach is hoping I'm listening to this right now because you know that this is maybe an area where you could improve. And every time for me, that would pop into my mind is when one of the leaders would talk about structure And I know a lot of us have mentioned that. And action is really, really good. And we always want to just be putting one foot in front of the other. But think how much better that action could be and how much more efficient we could be if we were following a better structure. And so I think that is something that I know I need to improve on. And so that's kind of what that question led me to think about. So I'm going to throw that out to you. So basically, which speaker were your mentor coaches hoping you were listening to? Or which concept? Just anything that you were like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I bet my mentor coach is hoping I'm hearing this right now.
I'll go. Okay, so I feel like it's really hard, honestly, to kind of pick, because I feel like every speaker definitely kind of brought a little bit of that. But I think for me, it was listening to Megan Valentine. Just some of the things that, she talks about of like, you become what you were meant to be in the pursuit of your dream, and just really kind of getting laser focused on what your why is, because it's like, that's the piece that drives us. And as much as I feel like I'm, building this business and helping people and helping coaches, I feel like I sat there for a minute thinking like, okay, wait, what is my why? Like, am I laser focused? I kind of felt lost in that moment. But, she just, I have like pages of stuff that I have like scribbled down of what she said. But yeah, she kind of like brought it home for me, and just kind of focusing on that point, and then really kind of working around that and why you're really, trying to help and support people. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. I felt the same exact way. I just thought, and I think that our why evolves along the way. So I think it's so important, and she talked about that, how we always need to revisit that, and we need to make that super strong, because that's really what propels us forward and continues to give us the excitement and energy behind what we're doing through Optavia. So anyone else have anything they want to share there as far as something they know that they really needed to hear?
I think that was kind of mine too, is just totally getting super clear on what it is I want, and what are the action steps to get there, to actually make it happen. And then who was it? It was Terry Miller. I loved Megan's talk. She was amazing. But also Terry Miller with her just kind of saying the same kind of thing with what is your strategic plan, to make it all happen, to have it all come together. I think that those are both really, really good. And definitely for me, I need structure in my business big time, in my organization here and stuff like that. So there were just so many ahas. Well, things you even know, but just help drive it in a little bit more. That those are really like the key things that will help propel you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're hearing structure a lot. I think this is definitely something that we can really talk about in one of our upcoming meetings, is really nailing that down. Like you said, it's really makes your business just become that much more solid in having that in place. So that's awesome. I love that. Anyone else want to share along those lines? I think we can take one more on this.
I can share real quick.
Okay.
I loved what Jan Paxman talked about, same as everybody else, getting that vision, getting that really crystal clear vision. But she had an action step that I was like, I'm totally going to go home and do this. She said, I have like 27 pages of notes, so I'm like a little overwhelmed. And I'm like, how am I going to take convention and incorporate it into reality for me? Because, but realizing that it's really step by step. She says, think of 50 things you want to accomplish in the next 10 years, and then go back through those and say, how many of those do you want to do in the next year? How many of those do you want to do in 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years? And just getting, taking your action steps from that perspective. So sometimes I'm a little, I want to do all these things. But I get so overwhelmed trying to figure out what to do first. So I loved, putting all of your goals, prioritizing them. And then I also loved when she talked about really putting everything into our DNA, living in integrity. If we're living the system, just incorporating everything into what we do, it'll be that much easier to live, to share, and to grow.
Hang on, Bob, I'll get my
part of us. So I loved that vision that she helped me to see.
Absolutely. I loved her so much too, Krista. And I think a lot of it is just taking it out of our brain and putting it on paper, because sometimes when we leave it up here, it gets so overwhelming. But as soon as you write it down and prioritize, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can do this, because it is one step at a time. If we have all of this that we want to do, it seems so too big. So I love that one too. Let's all do that for sure. So now we're gonna have Haley ask, or no, Steph. Is it Steph? You're gonna ask a question now? Or was it Haley? I don't know. Anyway, I'm turning it over to someone else.
Haley,
good job, guys.
Next question. Thank you. And I can't, for some reason, it's not letting me mute. I don't know, Diane, Tanny, if you can hear me, you got to mute yourself. It's not letting me mute anymore. I think it took away host from me. So hopefully she can hear that and mute herself. Okay, go ahead, Haley.
Hey, yeah, so I put it in the chat and it went weird, but anyway, the third question is, I love the analogy they used with peak to peak. So what peak did you get a peek at? And I put in there, why not me? Because I really did I feel like you go there and you see these people, and there's no perfect health coach. There's no, mold of what makes a successful health coach, which is encouraging because we all have something to offer and we're all going to be somebody's right answer. And so what did you get a peek at? What peak did you see? Does that make sense? The peak to peak? So peak to peak. What peak did you get a little glimpse at that was possible for you? Did you feel that? Did you feel like, oh my gosh, I can really do this?
I'll jump in. I definitely feel that. And I think that with everyone, and I think it just is that we shouldn't compare how long it takes us to get there. But a huge thing that so many people just said is, we did the work and we didn't quit. And so I think if we just do that, we're all can get there, and we all have the potential to rise to whatever, where we want to be in the company and with our business. And it's just not to compare ourselves, and we'll all get there eventually, and one may get there faster than the other, but it's possible for all of us, every single one of us.
Absolutely. And I fully believe that. I really do. I think part of that, Amy, what you said is, the comparative reality. They talked a lot about not comparing ourselves to where other people are, and not to be hard on yourself. Like we learn and grow as we go, and it's not a straight shot. And there's times and seasons that we can really go full-fledged, and times when we need to really have that structure and create certain times in our day when we can push. But stay engaged. I heard that over and over. Don't give up. Stay engaged. And just do one thing. He said was Brian Drollinger said that I loved is he said, just do a little bit more than you think you can. And that little bit makes such a big difference. What else? Who else saw a new peak?
I can share.
Okay, go ahead,
Haley.
Lisa. Yeah.
I'm just pulling into my driveway, so I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can.
When they quoted Isaac Newton, and it was, if I have seen further than others, it is by standing upon the shoulders of giants. And I asked myself, who are my giants? And I think, of course, it's our amazing team. It's our mentors, it's our own coaches, and it's our clients. And, you know, by standing upon their shoulders, we're able to get that structure because, you know, they have been to those peaks that we've never been before. And standing upon their shoulders was
Melissa, you're cutting out now.
it hit me like a ton of bricks. Okay, what about?
Melissa, you're cutting out.
Can you hear me yet?
Yeah, you're just kind of in and out. Okay, here, let's move on. But Melissa, I loved what you said. I love that. That quote is so awesome. Is it's really by standing on the shoulders of giants. Like I feel like this team is our giants. They really are. Like, we are an army, and I'm so grateful. It like totally makes me emotional because I look at that picture of you guys and I just think this is what drives me, and this is what helps me to thrive in my life, not just as a coach, but as a person. And that's key, right? Like, we are developing we are growing into who we need to be as mothers and as wives and as sisters and as friends and neighbors. And coaching is just like that beautiful part of what we get to do as we become that person. And I got home just feeling so grateful for our team. And you truly are giants. I hope you each know that, and that you know that you are worthy of your goals and your dreams. You really are. It's so possible. I mean, I look at myself and even people that were backstage, and I thought, not that I'm lessening them and saying, no, if they can do it, anyone can, but truly, anyone can do it. And I mean, I do say, if I can do it, anyone can do it, but just that you all have that potential in you. And I hope that you, even those who didn't go, can feel the love that we have for our Ohana team, and just the belief we have in each of you, and your ability to move forward and to chase after those dreams and to achieve them. It's just it's so real, and it's just so tangible. I hope you felt that.
Thank you, Haley. That was so beautiful. And I want to second that and just say that, you know, being at convention, sometimes you get the feeling like this is our own personal business, right? It's up to us to make the business succeed at the end of the day. But you go to convention and you realize that you have a team around you. And the coolest part is, not everyone on your team is above you. They're not just your mentorship. They're alongside you. They're underneath you, like pushing you forward. Every one of us, we're a family, and we're here for each other. And I think this convention was especially meaningful for me, looking up at the stairs and seeing all those people on the stairs and realizing, those are my family. Those are people that I have in my life now that I didn't before. And almost every person there, I felt like I could call if I needed something. It was an amazing feeling. So my next question for you was, what concept was busted for you at convention? What breakthrough did you have? And I'm going to start out with my own. I had a concept when I started my business. I had this cute little 4-year-old that was in preschool, not quite in kindergarten. I was so excited for her to go to kindergarten because I could really work on my business and really give it my full focus. And I had a concept of like a time that I would be more free. And there was a wonderful presentation by one of the coaches that had 6 little girls, and her girls were so beautiful and so little. And she just talked about doing interstitials in her car and in the back of her closet. And it was just so cute. And so I think that concept was busted for me of having little ones at home. That was one of the 14 concepts that was busted for me. But what breakthrough did you have by hearing one of the speakers that was maybe a limiting belief or a concept you had that was busted by one of the speakers? Go ahead and take yourself off mute to share.
I have one if nobody else jumps on.
Awesome.
So I've always thought that I need to do that. If I've decided to do something, I like go all in. I'm just going to get it done and I'm going to succeed and I'm going to do it by myself and I'm going to be, it's all up to me. And I loved the African proverb that I think Nick Johnson shared. Let me just pull it up here. He says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that like totally switched my mind because we can't make other people go as fast as we want to go, and it's not about going fast. It's more about doing this together, and sometimes you have to be patient and go with other, as you have coaches on your team, and sometimes maybe they're not ready to grow like you want to grow, or sometimes things are happening in their lives where they're not ready for that. And it's just all about doing things together and being part of each other and not worrying about having to get there in a certain amount of time, but just being consistent and loving and building each other as we go. And we will go further, even if it takes us longer. It'll be more fulfilling and we will just be able to all rise together instead of, just one person that can't go quite far enough, but you sure got there fast, So it was really eye-opening to me that this isn't a race. This is just about building each other and helping each other and getting everyone there together.
Krista, I was so hoping someone would share that. Thank you. That was such a beautiful quote, and just the analogy and the visual of us all running together and being stronger. I absolutely love it.
Can I add to that stuff?
Yes.
It's ironic that she brings this up, but we were sitting next to, sorry if you got background noise, we're at the airport, so I apologize, but I was sitting next to Krista during that time, and we were talking about Trisha and I taking this month off because we've been moving and we've had so much chaos in our life. And she said, you know what, Shane? She goes, you need to look at that proverb. And Trisha and I hit the ground and we hit it hard running. And this last month, we've started building coaches. And because we're building coaches and not working on our front line, our pay has dropped. And I was like, that just kind of sucks. And she said, remember, look at this. And she brought up the proverb. And I thought, you know what? I didn't even recognize that. It took her pointing that out to me. And also another thing that hit there was, a tide rises all ships. And so it takes all of us. We have, I believe, the most profound group of people that truly care about each other. The recipe for success and development, personal goals to be achieved is with the Ohana group. And that is one thing that Trisha and I are extremely grateful for, is that we're part of that. So, and it takes hard work. One lady said, I made calls at ball games. I did this. I've done health assessments here. I've done and we have. People say, oh, you only work an hour or 2 hours a week. Well, if you only want to work an hour or 2 hours a week, your success is going to show it. But if you make it your life and you just do and work through your times that you don't want to work, believe me, I have those times. We all have those times. But it's just having that grit to power, to move forward. So.
Thank you, Shane. Fawn, did you want to share?
Yeah, I know we're running out of time, but I'm so glad you said that, Shane. I just wanted to kind of wrap us up here, unless anyone else wanted to hop on, raise your hand. But coming to this convention, this has been, I just want to let you guys know, the company this has been our 6th convention. The company over the past 6 years has been trying to climb a peak. This convention, we are at the top of a really big peak that we have climbed over the past 6 years. And we are just in our infancy, you guys. We are ready to keep climbing. And I'm so glad that, like Shane said, we have our Ohana to keep climbing that peak. The company is going to be big. And you guys all know that. But kind of relating back to last week's training, when I kind of mentioned you're going to go to convention, you're going to have a lot of notes. You're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to have all these takeaways, which is good. It's the hot tub effect, right? Like we feel good. We have that transformational feeling in our heart. Like we just want to grow. We want to do so much good. Our company's growing, but it all comes down to numbers and action. I wrote down this quote really big on my paper. The dream is free, but the journey is not. We can dream big, you guys, and I want you guys to dream big. I want you to know where you want to go, but the journey is not free. It's what Shane said. It's putting your head down, and what's the action step I'm going to take today? What am I going to do today? How am I going to show up today? Who am I going to talk to today? How many clients do I need? What are the numbers that I need? How many people do I need to talk to? Because it's the little daily, it's the event that Haley and Jenny and I did. It's the little daily action steps that are going to help you get to your dreams. And we have to go to work on ourselves and show up how we want our clients to show up, how we want our team to show up. And it's the basics. It's talking, it's opening our mouth. It's getting on trainings. It's going to every event that we possibly can attend and bringing everyone with us that we can possibly bring with us. That's how we will grow and reach our dreams and reach our goals. It's doing the little daily things, even if we don't want to do them, we have to, because that's how we get to our dreams. How we show up is how our clients and our team will show up. And I love what Jared said, the price you pay if you don't show up is way worse than the price you pay to show up, right? So might as well put our heads down, do the suck, do the little daily things, because that's how we're going to get to where we want to get to. So let's climb that peak together and raise the bar on ourselves. I wrote that down, raise the bar. I'm ready to raise that bar, you guys, and I'm ready to link arms with you guys. Let's raise the bar. Let's do this.
Love it, Bon. Thanks everyone for being here. Have an awesome day.